I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Welcome to a rainy Cary, North Carolina and Wake Med Soccer Complex. After a beautiful weather day, day one, despite the rain showers, it has not dampened the enthusiasm for TST Day 2. It's round 3 of group play, and this is a men's tournament showdown between the Reggae Rovers and Say Word FC. It's the final game of group play for both of these teams. Reggae Rovers at 1-1, Say Word FC at 0-2, trying to keep their chances alive to advance to the knockout rounds tomorrow. Starting lineups for the Reggae Rovers, Amal Knight is in goal. Shavani Willis and O'Neal Fisher are the defenders. Dwayne Maquette, John Paul Roqueford, and Ricardo Thomas in the midfield. Kadeem Corbin is the forward. For Say Word FC, Alex Perez is in goal. Lionel Mobiang, Abdel Latif Anusa are the defenders. Josiah Hines, Francis Boafo, Jameer Flowers in the midfield. And Salifu Jata is the forward. We are underway. Reggae Rovers in the white jerseys and shorts with black numbers. Say Word with the yellow numbers, black shorts, and very creative and decorative multi-patterned jerseys. Both these teams trying to keep their knockout round hopes alive. Both teams advanced to the knockout round last year in TST 2024. There's a drive from Shavani Willis of Reggae Rovers out of bounds. And it's Say Word FC ball. The rain started falling a little bit faster just minutes before kickoff. Rain is in the forecast all day here in Cary, so it's not a question of if, only when. Mostly drizzles for the morning games so far. No games have been delayed or postponed as of yet because of rain, but this is a big day for the men's tournament specifically, with knockout rounds starting tomorrow. Got to get all of these preliminary round group play games completed by the end of the night. Willis plays it to the top part of the box. He was looking for Kadeem Corbin, and dealing with wet grass and wet ball here for this afternoon game. Now Say Word FC on the move, looking for a cross, and that's Willis who shuts it down, but some late pressure applied by Jameer Flowers. The ball caroms out of bounds. Early chance for Say Word FC here in the game's first 2 minutes. Reggae Rovers right back to work in the attacking end. Ricardo Thomas was the man in the goalie box and unable to keep that ball from the touchline. Slow starts have really plagued Say Word FC in their first 2 games of this year's tournament. They have fallen behind, conceded a goal in the first 2 minutes in each of their first 2 games, so they have avoided that happening here in their third game of group play. Reggae Rovers believe that ball was out of bounds, and it looked like it, but Flowers plays it looking for Juan Camilo Salazar, who's arguably Say Word FC's best player. Had 6 shots on goal in Game 2 yesterday for Say Word FC and picked up a goal for Say Word in their opener. Every team in the men's field played twice yesterday, once today to round out group play. Say Word FC and Reggae Rovers representing Group E. The team that has caught a lot of people by surprise in this group, the Pumas de Alabama, they're 2-0 coming into play today in the group. They've beaten both of these teams. Reggae Rovers at 1-1, hoping for a win today to qualify for the knockout round as one of the top 2 finishers in their group. Salazar can't keep it in bounds. It's Reggae Rovers ball. This is Che Benny on the dribble for Reggae Rovers, number 10. He's one of Reggae Rovers' best players. There's a shot from just outside the top of the box and a goal for Ricardo Thomas. And the Reggae Rovers grab a 1-0 lead.
Scored by number 6, Francis Boafo.
So Thomas from just outside the 36-foot box. And it wasn't a goal allowed in the first 2 minutes for Sayward FC, but still an early goal allowed by Sayward FC as they play from behind once again. Reggae Rovers nearly had another goal there. Daryl Garcia, who's fighting for possession now, and there's a shot redirected by Matthew Wu Ling. And Reggae Rovers are up to a 2-0 lead now. So a couple of goals stacked nearly right after each other for Reggae Rovers. And the Rovers are off to a great start in a game they really have to secure their bid for the knockout round. Willis shuts down that through ball for the Reggae Rovers and blasts it up the pitch. Little too much on that feed for Javane Bryan. That was Garcia on the wing who played it into the box. And Sayward on its heels a little bit. Just over 5 minutes in. 2 20-minute halves, part of these TST 7-on-7 matches. When we get to the end of the second half, we will set a target score, turn off the game clock, and play to that target score. The target score will be equal to the leading team score plus a goal. So if we were entering target score time at this moment in the game, the target score would be 3. This is a Reggae Rovers team in its second TST. They debuted last year in the soccer tournament and caught a lot of teams by surprise. An underdog roster that went 3-0 in group play. Chance brewing here for Sayward FC. Salifu Jata from outside the box. Still Sayward ball. Christian Romero. Sayward FC just trying to grab the momentum here. At least earn some possession time from Reggae Rovers as the rain continues to fall here at Field 3. Reggae Rovers ball. And Marlon Martin will roll it in. Knight sweeps it along to O'Neal Fisher, who's a big part of the back line for Reggae Rovers. And Fisher with a shot that's out of bounds. So the Rovers went 5-1 at TST last year. They beat Pat McAfee's team in their TST debut last year. As we mentioned, went 3-0 in group play that also included a win over Nadi FC, the eventual runner-up. A little bit of chaos here as the ball caroms off the crossbar following a deflected save attempt by goalkeeper Amal Knight. Salazar had a play on it momentarily for Sayward. He's on the ball now, sent back to midfield. Into the box, numbers momentarily for Sayward, and Flowers with a shot blocked at point-blank range. The clear for O'Neal Fisher. Up to Marlon Martin. And back to Fisher. Martin gets hit by Josiah Hines, and that stunts that would-be scoring opportunity for Reggae Rovers. So Reggae Rovers enter their second TST absolutely on everyone's radar now, unlike last year. Their run to the quarterfinals last year ultimately cut short by Newtown Pride FC, who beat Reggae Rovers 3-2 in the quarters to end what was a really impressive TST debut for this group. As you can probably infer from the name, Reggae Rovers is representative of Caribbean soccer players. A group that is, because of its geography, difficult for players who play soccer in the Caribbean to get scouted by major leagues all over the world. So TST seen as a platform for Reggae Rovers and by extension Caribbean players to earn bigger and better opportunities in their pro careers. Flowers loses the ball out of bounds. Daryl Garcia tried to sell a handball. There are no throw-ins, by the way, either in TST matches. Anusa coughs it up. Tyler Yates, the goalie for Sayward FC now after 2 early goals allowed by Sayward. That shot from Sayward just a little bit wide in the direction of Amal Knight. Sets up a corner and a whiff on the shot attempt by Brandon Rothfuss. After the foul, the restart. Sayward FC still with a quote-unquote mathematical chance to advance to the knockout round, but they would need a lot of help. It would start with a win against Reggae Rovers, and they would need Pumas de Alabama to defeat Dark Horse NC United, the other team in this group. Collision and a hard foul there on Sayward FC. Francis Boafo heads off the pitch. It is slippery out there as Boafo takes down Ramon Howell. And a free kick here from just outside the box for the Reggae Rovers. And Jay Benny, an outstanding player from Trinidad and Tobago, right there in a trio of players to potentially take this. Benny, number 10. Shavani Willis, number 4, also in the picture. Benny takes it and just rolls it wide to the near post. Benny's having a great TST again for the Reggae Rovers. Had an assist in the Reggae Rovers Game 2 loss to Pumas de Alabama. But Benny picked up the Adidas Golden Fleece. He scored the game-winning goal in target time for the Reggae Rovers in their first game of the tournament, a 5-1 win over Dark Horse NC United. Here's Salazar for Sayward, tries to shake Willis, enters the box, moves down the line, and a high shot tipped by Knight. Ball was blistered by Salazar. It sets up a corner for Sayward. Trying to settle into this match, and they have had some chances as of late. Played to the middle of the box looking for Flowers, and it's cleared out of harm's way. Down to Yates. And he rolls it for Abdel Latif Anusa. Jota played for Salazar. Salazar a drive high, right past our camera position. Might be a bit of a stretch to call Sayward FC a local team, but they are based out of Greensboro, North Carolina, which is about an hour here from Cary in the Raleigh-Durham metropolitan area. Here's Anusa starting a break. Numbers for Sayward. Anusa into the box, and a great play to track Anusa down by O'Neal Fisher. Willis eventually won the ball for Reggae Rovers, and Benny rolls it down just outside the 36. Benny gets it back from Kadeem Corbin. Benny in the corner, and the much longer Abdel Latif Anusa pokes it out of bounds. This is Benny. Blocked again at near point-blank range by Anusa. Benny back to Powell. Garcia dancing with it for a moment. It's back to Benny on the right wing. Anusa not letting him go on the skip pass up to midfield. Shavani Willis back to Benny. Powell moves it over to the team benches. This is Garcia. Brings it back out. Reggae Rovers have reestablished their possession dominance here. Again, 2 20-minute halves, just a little over 5 minutes to go in the first half. Substitutions on the fly. So some new players on the pitch for both teams, and a good stop there by Tyler Yates. Anusa starts the breakout. Looking for Yasin Fares, and Knight covers the ball up before Fares can get a toe on it. Reggae Rovers in the white with the ball, moving left to right. Had 2 goals in short succession, roughly 5 minutes into the game. And those goals have held up. In fact, the goals listed just 20 seconds apart at 4:03 and 4:23 into the game. Yates, the keeper, plays it all the way to Knight. He punches that ball out of there. Sayward FC hangs onto it. Into the box, Jota with Fares in the picture as well. Jota is playing for Sayward for the second time. Did not play for Sayward FC at TST last year. He had a commitment, but played for Sayward in the inaugural TST back in 2023. Romero has it stripped. And Corbin has it poked out of bounds. Reggae Rovers hang on to it. Dwayne Maquette now down to Corbin. And here's John Paul Roqueford into the box for Matthew Wu Ling, and another goal for Reggae Rovers. It's Matthew Wu Ling's second of the game. He's got a brace. And the Rovers go up 3-0. Just a cheeky play by Matthew Wu Ling with the side of his left foot, maybe his heel, to redirect that ball in. Wu Ling's first 2 goals of the tournament coming here on a rainy afternoon at Wake Med Soccer Park. Jota from just outside the box, knocked down by Wu Ling. The ball booted high into the air by O'Neal Fisher. Rovers with 3 goals. They have assists on 2 of their goals here today, and that's a theme that you notice when you look at the box scores for the Rovers, at least at TST 25. The vast majority of their goals have assists to go along with them. Just a good passing and distributing team. Rovers scored 5 goals in their round 1 win over Dark Horse NC United, had assists on all 5. And then in a 3-goal effort, a loss to Pumas de Alabama, they lost 4-3. They had assists on 2 of their 3 goals. Here's Garcia, played back to Ricardo Thomas. Markovic Brown, number 71, on the pitch for the first time for the Rovers. Ball collected by Ricardo Thomas from his goalkeeper. Remember, you have to advance the ball forward within 8 seconds, lest you lose possession. So Knight, out of necessity, plays it all the way up and off the head of Lionel Mobiang. Reggae Rovers ball. Darrell Garcia with a high drive out of play in the direction of the stage where the Pat McAfee show is going on live right now on ESPN. Pat McAfee's Concafa team has won its first 2 games of group play yesterday and has already advanced to the knockout round regardless of the results of their 3rd game today. Erhan Raymond with the restart. This is Yassine Fares. And the pass blocked by Roquefort and out of bounds. Sets up a corner for Fares. Looking for Salifu Jata, number 19, a tall player. And Roquefort gets hit by that corner. We'll do it again. To the back of the box. And it's headed out. Juan Salazar plays it back to Tyler Yates. There's the whistle. We've reached halftime, and a really impressive first half for the Reggae Rovers. They put up 3 goals in a bounce-back effort for the Rovers after dropping their 2nd game of group stage play yesterday. Rovers in great position to win this game and move on to the knockout round tomorrow. There's Pat McAfee. Show live and with a great view of Field 3 here where we are for this round 3 showdown between the Reggae Rovers and Sayward FC. Again, it's halftime. We will be back for the second half in under 5 minutes. Stay with us. You're watching TST 2025.
Sayward FC is at the bottom of Group E with an 0-2 record. Yesterday,
Moments away from the start of half number 2. It's a little bit rainy here in Cary, North Carolina at Wake Med Soccer Complex, but don't tell the fans, everyone's still having a blast at this TST festival. And it has been a party for the Reggae Rovers in the first half. First goal of the game just over 4 minutes in, courtesy of Ricardo Thomas, and then 20 seconds later, they get another one. Matthew Wu Ling on the assist from Daryl Garcia, and Wu Ling was not done. His second goal of the game right here at 16:50 into the half. John Paul Roqueford with the assist. All right, so take a look at this. This is the leaderboard in Group E through the first set of games. Now, Pumas de Alabama went on to beat Reggae Rovers, so Pumas de Alabama currently with the lead in the group. And Reggae Rovers at 1-1, trying to move to 2-1 in group play and advance to the knockout round. Top 2 teams in each group advance. And as play began today, the Rovers and Dark Horse NC United each had 1-1 records. However, Reggae Rovers have already beaten Dark Horse NC United head-to-head and have an advantage in goal differential. So effectively, Reggae Rovers was in second place in the group at the start of play today and looking to cement its status in the top half of the group and move on to the knockout round. Reggae Rovers in the white with black numbers, and Sayward FC in the darker kits with yellow numbers and the very patterned jerseys. O'Neal Fisher moves it along. Rain continuing to fall here as we've passed the 2 o'clock hour in the Eastern time zone. We're getting into what was expected to be the heaviest part of the day for rain. These outdoor fields at Wake Med Soccer Park, hold that thought, Yates with the play to shut down Roqueford. Capable of taking on a lot of water, just as long as the lightning stays away, a lot of these games can get in, we hope. Brandon Rothfuss with the restart for Sayward, looking to get on the board here. This is Josiah Hines, and Ferris comes in, working just inside the box, trying to get around Ricardo Thomas. It comes back out. Into the box, Salazar was just outside of the goal box, but covered up by Fisher. Fisher's a 33-year-old from Jamaica, player with a significant amount of MLS experience and also 20 games with the Jamaican national team. Here's Salazar now with the left foot. Save made by Knight. Rebound was available. Eventually rolls out of bounds, so Sayward FC hangs onto it. Salazar with it again. Rolled into Ferris. Looking at the last save by goalkeeper Amal Knight. Knight's been good. 8 saves through Reggae Rovers' first 2 games of TST. There's a Reggae Rovers team that has coached, mentioned the ties to the Jamaican national team and other Caribbean programs. Theodore Whitmore, the coach of the Reggae Rovers, was the head coach of the Jamaican national team for over a decade, from 2010 to 2021, that is. Also had a illustrious career as a player for the Jamaican national team and was a member of the 1998 World Cup roster for Team Jamaica, the only World Cup for which Jamaica has qualified. Here's Fisher, speaking of ties to Jamaica, and the save made by Yates. Sayward FC looking for a transition opportunity, but Garcia shuts it down on the counter, and Javane Bryan lost his footing. So a break for Sayward FC, but Bryan not giving up on the play. Up for grabs at midfield. Salifu Jata nudges it along to Parker Spesak. Spesak rolls it back to Yates. This is half number 2, 20-minute halves, And when we get to the end of this half, it will be time for target score time. Set a target score and play to that instead of playing to the end of regulation. No overtime in TST. Every match ends on a made goal. Here's Daryl Garcia. Centering pass and not much on it. Looking for Matthew Wu Ling, who's on hat trick watch. That ball slipped over the touchline. And Reggae Rovers really upset with the call. Possession was awarded to Say Word. And that's a hard slide tackle by O'Neal Fisher. Ouch. Fisher was the player who took exception to what was probably the wrong call on that ball out of bounds. Now, you cannot slide tackle in TST games, so just a blatant foul there on Thomas Mancuso, the player on the ball. Here's the free kick, and it's blasted by Hines out of bounds. These fields are 135 feet wide, and Hines got all of it. This is Fisher with the pink spikes. Over to Shavani Willis and back to Fisher. Reggae Rovers creeping up the field. Matthew Wu Ling over to Che Benny. Ling and Fisher. A shot from outside the box off the post by Marlon Martin. Tyler Yates with a little bit of help from the iron. Matthew Wu Ling brushes it back to Amal Knight. Look at this one off the post on the left side of your screen. Martin squared it up, but not quite straight enough. Martin's on the ball now. Played back up high to Willis and over to Fisher on the D-to-D pass. Fisher sends it into the box. And Thomas was open but lost his footing. Ricardo Thomas with Benny to his left. Just off the touchline, plays it across to Garcia. Dwayne Maquette, number 21 on the pitch. Had it for a moment. Loose ball, foot race, Fisher and Salazar of Say Word. And that's a foul on Salazar. A little too handsy with the defenseman for Reggae Rovers. Maquette over to Fisher. Turning into a rainy afternoon on the pitch. Thomas couldn't keep it in bounds. Inusa. Salazar. Salazar, a shot and a kick saved by Knight. A beauty at that. Garcia has Thomas up the field, and the pass intercepted by Lionel Mobiang. It's a great save by Knight with the right foot, just sticking it out there. Here's Ramon Howell. Say Word FC, we mentioned a TST charter program. In it goes to Corbin, and the save made by Yates comes back out to Anusa. Say Word's first year of the tournament, if you talk to their GM, Russell Morgan, says it was just kind of about figuring everything out as Knight makes the play in between the sticks. They returned with a better program, a better club, that is, in TST 2024. Advanced out of the group round to the knockout round, which was the goal coming in.
Attention TST fans.
But
please be
their chances of advancing to the knockout round this year in serious jeopardy. And you don't always know how these groups are going to shake out when the tournament begins, but with the benefit of hindsight, it looks like Group E, a pretty good group. Reggae Rovers, a quarterfinal team from a year ago, and then Pumas de Alabama winning its first 2 games of the tournament this year and also moving on to the knockout round. Markovic, nearly a box-bound ball that had too much on it in the direction of John Paul Roquefort. Francis Boafo, kick back out. Enusa trying to find it, loose again for Jata. And the pass behind Boafo. Looked like Say Word might have had something brewing there. Goals for Reggae Rovers in this game from Ricardo Thomas and 2 by Matthew Wu Ling. All 3 goals in the first half. Just outside the box, it's Corbin, guarded by Enusa. Yates, the heave-ho. Loose ball in the attacking end for Say Word, but it's Howell who runs it down. Nearly stripped by Boafo. Boafo, a great story for Say Word. He's actually a refugee. And he's not the only refugee on this Say Word team. Mentioned Say Word, they have local ties, relatively speaking, to Greensboro, North Carolina, but it is a roster that is composed of players literally from all over the world with all different kinds of backgrounds and lived experiences. So a really diverse roster in that respect. But again, anchored here in the Tar Heel State. This is Ricardo Thomas, who had the first goal of the game. Loose ball on Say Word's side of the field, and Ramon Howell runs it down in his own end. Less than 10 minutes to go, second half. After which point we'll move on to the target score. Thomas in the box. Brings it out wide and looking for the cutting Javane Bryan. Sideline inbounds for Morgan and the Reggae, Thomas and the Reggae Rovers. Che Benny, number 10, member of the Trinidad and Tobago futsal national team. Had an outstanding tournament at CONCACAF last year for the national futsal team of Trinidad and Tobago. Benny's on it now. Benny, save made by Yates. Had to tip that one over the crossbar. Back to midfield, Willis rolled into the box. Thomas played it back on a give and go. Willis just a little bit late. Now here's Ferris on a transition look for Say Word. A shot off the post, and then it rolled just off the goal line. Say Word FC can't catch a break. Yassine Ferris on a mission here, and just a bad bounce. He beat them all night. Goal mouth just not wide enough. Willis having some trouble here. Salazar unable to win possession, however. Mancuso does, however. Nearly got it back from Salazar, who now meets Daryl Garcia for the ball. And Mancuso turns. Salazar. And it's flicked out of harm's way by Garcia in his own end in the goalie box. Salazar unable to keep it away from Martin. Garcia tries to get on the same page with Bryan. Bryan scores! 4-0 Reggae Rovers. Javane Bryan with his second goal of the tournament. I believe it was Kadeem Corbin on the assist. You could give a secondary assist, a hockey assist, if you will, to Daryl Garcia as well. 5 minutes to go in regulation now, and the first goal of the half. Reggae Rovers padding their lead. Yates up ahead. Wu Ling keeps it away from Jata. This is John Paul Roquefort. Wu Ling. Reggae Rovers call themselves the rhythm of football, and they have been in rhythm for just about all of this group play game here this afternoon. Completely unaffected by the elements and poised to move on to the knockout round officially. Now, having said that, things can get a little weird in target score time, even with, yes, a 4-goal advantage, as is the case here. Willis sent back high. This is Maquette. He is tripped. Foul on Say Word. Free kick coming up here for the Rovers. Back to play, shot from just outside the box by Benny, and a rebound goal for John Paul Roquefort. Yates made the initial save. Roquefort was Johnny on the spot, and John Paul with the 5th goal of the game for the Rovers. Roquefort outside the penalty box and not far off the goal line either. Did not have a certainly ideal angle on that shot, but it did not matter. And the Rovers have hit the 5-goal mark for the second time in TST this year. They put up 5 on Dark Horse NC United in their first game. Again, this is a very successful TST program now in its second tournament, the Reggae Rovers, but they do not have a clean sheet on their TST resume. In line for one here. Say Word hangs on to it. Fares plays it in. Anusa rolled back to Alex Palm, one of the captains for Say Word. Fares, and a good stop by Markovich Brown. Possession stays with Say Word in the attacking end. Erhan Raymond, and shot a little bit inside. Knight played it. Benny upfield. Benny on the touchline. Top of the box, and it is kicked to Yates. Quarterbacks it up ahead to Ricardo Aguiar. The ball knocked out of bounds. Palm Sweeps it in to Anusa. Mentioned Paul, number 23, one of the co-captains for Sayward FC. He's an attorney with his day job. Attorney by day and TST soccer player by night, or in this case, rainy afternoon. Moments away from target score time now. This will be Sayward FC ball. Palm ahead to Fares. Entry into the box denied, and we've reached the end of the second half. All Reggae Rovers in this one, but they need a sixth goal to officially punch their ticket to the knockout round. Target score set at 6. We'll be back to introduce you to target score time when we come back. You're watching TST 2025 from WakeMed Soccer Park. Here's some information on target score time if perhaps this is your first or one of your first times watching a TST match. Target score is equal to the leading team score plus 1. We have reached target score time because we've hit the end of the second half. First to the target score wins. It's really that simple. Every TST match ends on a made goal. Worth noting that players are removed one aside every 3 minutes to try and expedite the process, but also add an element of intrigue as well. So it is 5-0. Reggae Rovers in the white, Sayward in the black. Reggae Rovers just needs 1 goal to get to 6. Sayward needs 6 to win. And this would be the largest comeback in TST history. Were Sayward able to pull this one off. Jay Benny already has a game-winning goal for Reggae Rovers in this tournament, number 10. Looking for another. Ball played to Willis in the middle, however. Number 4 on number 4. Yassine Fares almost won the ball for Sayward, but here's Dwayne Maquette with it. Gets it right back from Ricardo Thomas. So Sayward has actually had some interesting moments in target score time, even in this tournament. Corbin outside the box, pass intercepted. In Sayward's last game, they trailed 3-0 at the start of target score time and ended up losing 4-2 to Dark Horse United NC. So 2 goals for Sayward FC in their last game in target score time. However, much larger deficit to account for here against Reggae Rovers. But it starts with 1, and we'll see if Sayward can get that. Reggae Rovers looking for, of course, the win most importantly, but also their first clean sheet in TST. Corbin turns. Top of the box. Thomas. And a miss hit. Last touched by Sayward. Not a corner, but Corbin looking for an entry into the box. Maquette's got it. Pass intercepted by Sayward. Lovely play by Christian Romero, but Maquette wins it right back. Now Ricardo Thomas looking for a cross. Corbin a little bit late to arrive on the scene. Alex Palm kicked the ball out for Sayward. O'Neal Fisher at the point. Top of the box, Corbin. Brush to Maquette. Left for Daryl Garcia. Fisher. Fisher running out of room. And out of bounds. So we are now 3 minutes into target score time, and there is the whistle for a player subtraction. So each team now will lose a player, and we will play 6-on-6 now for the next 3 minutes or so. Sayward FC with the ball. Palm to Enusa in the Sayward end. Interception. Javane Bryan in the box. Bryan scores! And the Reggae Rovers win 6-0. Bryan with his second goal of the game, and of critical importance, he is the winner of the Adidas Golden Fleece. Every player who scores a target score time game winner receives the Adidas Golden Fleece at the end of the game. It guarantees lifetime membership, lifetime free enrollment into TST and all tournaments, in fact, put on by the company. Impressive offensive outing in the rain for the Reggae Rovers. Bryan with the game winner right there on the takeaway. 6 goals for the Rovers. So they have group play wins by 5-1 and 6-0 margin. So even in the event that a tie were to take place in the standings, a goal differential would be, you would think, strongly in Reggae Rovers' favor. And they do have a tiebreak advantage either way based on head-to-head with Dark Horse NC United. Reggae Rovers are going back to the knockout round for the second year in a row. An impressive win over Sayward FC, who unfortunately comes away without a win in TST 2025. That'll do it for us for now from Field 3. But remember, much more action to come as round 3 on the men's bracket continues throughout the day and into the evening. And lots of great women's TST action as well. The women's bracket underway today. On behalf of our outstanding crew, this is Chris Foster saying so long for now, stay dry, and enjoy the soccer in Cary.